money. He does get a massive stun, and that turns it right around. You've just got to give an absolute standing ovation to the heirs apparent of the OPL.
Welcome to the League of Legends OPL Grand Final!
4 splits, 4 titles. They cement their legacy as the OPL Kings.
Hello, welcome to day 2, week 3 of split 2 of the 2019 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and I just got my tight bottom spanked by every man in this room in Teamfight Tactics. My goodness. Pure assassin comp, trash tier.
Yeah, good early.
Good early.
Does not scale whatsoever.
And I was getting good picks as well, I just didn't have a front line.
Yeah, that
On
is
the flip
very
side-
necessary.
Pair of winners.
Yeah,
Pair
that's
of winners.
yeah, what
Found
up?
it?
Pound it, brother.
Bam.
We made
2
it.
games.
Disgusted. by
2
what's
first
going on.
places on the couch. Easy.
Yeah. I did come first, and then I came last immediately at the next game.
There you go.
So, like, you know, the highs and lows are really...
Yeah, I came 4th
They're
and
still
first.
balancing the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome back to the OPL for day number 2 of week 3. Exciting to be here. At the moment, I'm just getting scents of delicious teas that have not been offered to Jake or I.
It's, well, I mean, see, that is where you're wrong. Not in the sense that they weren't offered, because, I mean, that's true, but also it's not a tea. It's just honey and water.
All right. Well, it still smells very good, and I would like some of that sweet ambrosia next time you make one. I'm excited for today because there are some
Bangers.
bangers indeed, and at the moment it's very clear we have no idea what's going on in the OPL. Yeah.
For those that don't know, by the way, Nick was promised a soundboard.
Oh, am
he
I
could-
now the soundbot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just feel like he didn't get that, so he's decided in his contract that he was promised something. So now he has a
I'm
prize.
just, look, I'm a man of many talents, and I will fulfill that wish.
Thank you for bringing that up because I brought that up at the end of last split.
Yep.
I think in the middle of last split, at the end of last split, during the break, in the pre-production meeting, and then like again last week. And the answer I keep getting is it's been ordered and it's on the way. And surely it doesn't take 6
Maybe
months.
Australia Post has got their hands on it. And they saw a little segment that happened yesterday, and they're like, Nick Boy, yeah, no. Maybe you're getting boomed.
I have angered the wrong people, I believe.
You have no glasses on today.
No, well,
Oh,
the thing
weird.
is, like, I realized when we're sitting on the couch, it's just everyone has glasses. It's just like a bunch of nerds, and we need a cool person.
Have you not seen the Oceanic Shoutcasters starter pack?
Yeah,
It's like
it's
Hair
glasses.
goes this way,
Yep.
glasses. Yeah.
Must be this tall to ride. Jake's kind of just
Yeah,
underneath.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm
he,
underneath.
He got in early, you know what I mean? So he's just fallen
It's true.
into a position of power that he
It's
really
true.
doesn't
What about
deserve.
Dick Cam? Dick Cam is like 3 foot nothing.
I didn't get the starter pack. Clearly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no. The hair's down. The eyes are clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll put them on for you if you want.
Yeah,
That's
please.
your thing.
Are you wearing
For free.
contacts, or you
No,
just you
no,
go
no,
without
no.
them?
No. There's not
Okay.
even glass in my glasses. It's just frames.
Oh. Okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Bryce. It's okay. Today, we have something for you.
Okay.
A little homework for you next week that we're going to decide next segment. But also, we got a bunch of Nick bag coming up. I got questions. I want more questions.
Okay.
So life advice, relationship advice, parenting advice, home delivery advice.
I'm all over
road
parenting advice, by the way.
You're pretty good.
I'll be your main man.
Well,
And I got that
out
on
of all of
on-
us,
on lock.
you were there most recently
Okay.
in terms of being parented.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
And
That's
you have
that's the
fairly
one.
good parents, I feel like.
Yeah.
from
No.
the
Sue and
stories.
Kev, bloody pop off. Tell you what.
They're good parents.
Bang
Good
on.
role models.
Yeah.
I was going to say that it's also Zach and Bryce on the couch for the Nick Bag segment, so don't address any to me. I don't want to answer them.
Address them all to
Probably
Jake.
won't even chime in.
Send in your questions, asknickboy@gmail.com, or just hit me up in Twitch chat, send me a message, send them on Twitter, whatever you want, we'll get them, and we will answer them. So we are in for a good day. Also, make sure you buy tickets to MEO, because we keep talking about the end of the year, the end of the split. It's building towards something, and that thing is a live event, and it should be an exciting thing to come to. Bryce,
Yeah.
you love the MEO.
I do. I
All right, good
absolutely
chat.
do. It was a good time last time. You know, the coolest thing was that we were real close to the crowd.
Yeah.
And like the crowd was like 2 meters away. They were elevated, so in terms of like power dynamics, they definitely had the strong position.
Yep.
But it was so cool being so close and facing them.
But you want to be fishbowled when it is like auditory, like when it like you want them above you, so all the sound like is like kind of caving in on top of you.
Ah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I've been in the flip side where we're above the crowd and it doesn't sound as loud, whereas when you're down actually on ground level and like everyone's just shouting into the players and you're there, it's really a cool experience, like being a part of that.
It is cool.
I
indeed.
love live events. They're
So
great.
you could be a part of that as well. Get your tickets. Come to MEO. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be
A banger.
Thank you very much. Speaking of bangs, we got the schedule. Let's take a look at the games we're going to be playing today. And by we, I mean all the professional players. We're going to sit in this room and answer questions about your relationships. First up, Bombers versus Direwolves. Legacy looking to come back against Gravitas. Order take on the Chiefs. And finally, I would say game of the day, Avant Gaming versus Mammoth.
Yeah, I would absolutely say game of the day there with Avant Gaming versus Mammoth. I'm really hot on Avant at the moment. Mammoth have had a couple of sloppy early games. In fact, I count 3. Pretty sloppy against Bombers. Very sloppy versus Chiefs. Chiefs probably should have won that game. Then pretty sloppy yesterday versus Order.
Yeah.
And Avant, in my head, maybe the best early game team in the OPL. So I'm really interested in the power dynamic because I think pound for pound, Mammoth do have them covered. It's just about at which stage of the game are you strong and can they hold on? Can they allow triple to scale?
Because that is like a lot of it, right? Like pound for pound, you look at the players on Mammoth and it's like, yes, individually all very good. And in that way, AV does kind of fly under the radar. They are fairly young roster, but certainly performing even with not their full roster at the start of the split. So definitely on the up and up. Good performance last split, coming in and looking to repeat that here today.
Absolutely. But first up, it is Bombers versus Direwolves. And let's throw it over to Pulse and Rusty with Macca's Champ Select.
Thank you. Already getting to game. So yeah, Bombs Direwolves. How you doing today, Rusty?
I'm so cold. I don't know why I wore a regular shirt in this studio, but it's not as cold out of the studio. You walk in, you feel good, and now it's Arctic.
I mean, it's Arctic everywhere. I was surprised at how cold it is actually in Sydney compared to...
I mean, you were in Berlin.
Yeah,
It was
I mean,
summer
where
there,
it was
though,
like
right?
600 degrees.
Yeah, so I guess that's
So-
probably what really struck you the most.
I just thought it was just a bit warmer because it's meant to be... I mean, it's Australia, right? Even if it is winter.
That is true. We do have like a 1-month winter and the rest of it is summer, but it's actually cold right now.
This
so
is
you
what
came at
people
the
do
right
when they
time.
have nothing good to talk about, is they talk about the weather.
Well,
You
it
know,
was
it's
cold.
Like, it's, for friends, dates, it's like... Yeah, the conversation's just
We have
died.
plenty to talk
No, it hasn't
about.
died, though. It's Bombers versus Direwolves. No one's dead yet as we get into game 1 of day 2 of week 3.
Yeah, both of these teams still hot on the trot. You'd expect some good performances from them. Dire was shaky yesterday, however, in their showing against AV, but where they did improve and where they looked better was where they were weak in the prior weeks. So with Direwolves, you'd expect some strong late game team fighting, but their early game looked improved, and if they put it all together, they'd be a very strong team. Bombers, always notoriously just really good at laning phase, really good at early game, and so I'm curious to see how this clashes for Direwolves if they've improved the early game against Bombers.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll have to see if the game progresses. Yeah, we've got a Karma and Sejuani ban and Yumi and Skarner coming through. I will say, after playing TFT for the first time just a couple minutes ago, there was a lot of confusion in my brain because very different games, but same champions. So I'm looking at it as just like, all right, where's the Volibear ban?
Where's my Spear of Shojin
Yeah.
on Kha'Zix? The classic. No, of course we won't see any of those. Maybe later tonight, who knows? Of course, we go through the first 4 bans now. Karma, something that we should know and expect in League of Legends in general. But there is a couple of surprise bans, I would say, from the side of Bombers. Skarner and Gragas are 2 that stand out. They are target bans at Raze. 2 of the champions that he plays is Gragas carried in the game against Order. So I'm not shocked to see it taken away, but in the first 3 bans, that is really surprising.
For sure. I mean, we've seen a lot of jungle bans just in general, but they have all been second phase, right? It's usually been like jungles have been low priority, and then you start hitting the junglers.
Yeah.
Already a final ban from Direwolves, and it will be an Aatrox first pickup from the Bombers.
Yeah, Bombers not banning any of the real priority champions besides Yumi, so they'll leave a whole lot up and available. You think back to yesterday, Mimic on Aatrox, 1v3,
1v3,
just
top
wins.
lane.
He's just so strong when he gets going. He always has been. Mimic, one of those players now. Direwolves, no hesitation on the flip side. 2 priority champions right now, 1 being a flex, and 2 potentially being a flex, and that's a pretty strong draft of their own.
Yeah, Nico and Lux coming through right here. Lux saw a bit of play yesterday down into the bottom lane, of course, is a flex in itself. And Bombers, I mean, hey, there is the Sona. Because I know you and me, we were looking at a couple games. It's like, where's the Sona? But we found it today. And Tarek, of course, locked in alongside it.
We've managed to find the button. Now, the question I have here is, how does Katsuri respond in the AD carry position? Do they lock in a Caitlyn now? Do they do something a little bit more aggressive? I know this is just a hover, but this could be a really oppressive 2v2 against the Sona Tarek if that does get secured.
It's an option for sure. Katsuri had a great game yesterday. It will be the Caitlyn lock-in alongside Lux.
Yeah, well, Ziggs was just a hover. May just stay at that. You won't see a lot of Ziggs running around, but everyone's a Caitlyn player, plain and simple. And Caitlyn and Lux is a very oppressive 2v2 that keeps the Sona down, keeps the Tarek pushed, and makes last hitting for the Tarek really difficult. So right now, the 2v2 of Direwolves should just control it, should just outright be able to hold that. Now you look towards those jungle matchups where there's already been a host of bans as to, how does this influence the bottom lane?
Yep. See how many jungle bans actually come through right here and how much we can constrict the champion pool. That being said, there are a lot of junglers that you can just play right now. And it really is just preference on what you just don't want there. Lee Sin actually going to be hitting the bench in this one.
Rek'Sai
was
still
already banned
exists.
all yesterday, but we did see some Lee Sin play. Olaf. And yeah, of course, Rek'Sai.
Raises a Lee Sin one
Nocturne.
trick as well, like he always was before he came over here. Obviously, he's shown that he can play more champions, but they're all banned as well. So let's just get rid of everyone. Give me the Rek'Sai ban.
You get the opportunity, why not? 3 seconds to go for the Direwolves. It'll be Elise, so yet another jungle ban. So if this is Rek'Sai, then not a lot left for Raze.
Bombers still have the possibility of something like a Kindred or a Graves to go with a Sona Tarek type composition if they wanted. So they've still got some potential there.
Ah, Jace. Jace is the final ban. Back to Direwolves. Yep. It would definitely make sense since Bombers have yet to pick up their own jungler to secure the Rek'Sai now for Raze.
May have to look at what will they do in response. Nocturne has been quite good actually against the Rek'Sai. Can hard farm pretty well and can duel in a 1v1, especially pre-6. Also very good for gank threat in the side lanes and even in mid lane post that level 6 point. But it depends on what Wilder plays. He's also a Nidalee player. He's got the capabilities there, and we'll get to see it in the last pick as first will be an assassin that can be double flexed.
Yeah, more be the Akali. Wilder. I mean, Trundle is still an option as well if you're looking for... oh, but it will be the Kindred in the end. Okay. So, in general, not a lot of tanks on the side of Bombers.
Yeah, that is the thing though with like a Sona Tarek composition is you don't need tanks because everyone's a tank. At a certain point in the game,
That is fair.
like they don't even necessarily have a team fighting composition, but at a certain point they'll win team fights because they have Sona Tarek, and that is just the way it works. It puts your opponents on a clock. That's an interesting way to attack the clock is by matching it.
Okay, Anivia coming through right here for Get Back. I mean, I was excited to see the Zillion yesterday that we got to see in the mid lane, but Anivia, yeah, I mean, if everyone's a tank, cool, but just wall them off. That's also an option.
Get back with the throwback pick as well. I don't think it's something that we've often seen from him or many mid laners in Oceania. There's usually been one or two players total. Swift is the first and only one really that comes to mind for me right now. But Anivia's been locked in and it's a big scaling champion. Always has been, but still has a lot of threat with the pillar, with the wall, sorry, not the pillar, with the zone control there. And with a Caitlyn and a Lux and even a Nico, if they manage to group in the same area and throw their skill shots with a wall blocking them and forcing path, it's actually pretty strong. Sona and Tarek don't have mobility. So there is a real world situation where they just get constantly poked down and CC laid and they just die.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of access, like that Anivia wall can do a lot of work. And Anivia is such an interesting pick, not just like in this game, but as a pick in general, because it's a very one-trickable champion. You know what I mean? Like, you could name like 5 players all who are just like Anivia players specifically, right?
Yeah, well, everyone thinks Froggen first and foremost.
Of course, yeah. And then
but you're
even
correct,
Kira
yeah.
in,
It's the kind of champ where you have to be dedicated to the champion style.
Yeah, for sure. So interesting to see how this one will do in this game. And yeah, and joining us again 2 days in a row, Soul Strikes. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Do you have a question for him, Rusty? The first question that we're asking everyone today.
The first question. Oh no, you ask. You're the expert.
Has to come from you, otherwise it's me pushing my agenda on people. You know what I mean?
All right. Do you have a favorite type of ramen?
There you go.
Ramen.
Yeah.
Probably the standard like tonkatsu ramen.
There you go. It's a good answer.
Correct answer. You get to stay.
Better
All
than
right.
Ejim, who named the location, not a type of
That
ramen.
was
sauce.
awful. Yeah. So how are you feeling about this Anivia pick? I feel like it's the obvious first question, Soul Strikes.
Well, we haven't. It threw me off guard, and yeah, it's an interesting pick. Like I don't necessarily. I always think of like Anivia as like a pocket pick, like a Froggen, like someone who mastered the Anivia. And I'm not really sure if Getback is a like one-trick Anivia player, but it'll be interesting to see how he performs.
And talk to me as well about these drafts, because you've got the scaling of a Sonataric in bot lane, and the team fighting potential there with the Kindred. Do you think that the Anivia pick kind of plays to what you want, which is scaling to where you want a team fight?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's why they picked Anivia as well. And we don't really have like a really hard initiation except for like Sona Crescendo. So we do have strong team fighting, but if we do fall into like the Anivia Anivia ultimate, then it's going to be hard for us to do much.
Looking for a level 1 invade right here, though. I was not quite connecting that flash cross onto Luch. Bit of a back and forth. Fro getting the double stun. Ray's dropping low.
This will extend for quite a while here.
It will. Oh, the root into the root into the root. Wilder.
It's very hard to do an interview when this is happening. They're still going.
Lots of back and forth. Ray's dropping low, but it's level 1. You can manage your health bars, and that's going to be it.
I think this happened yesterday as well.
Lots of,
Yeah,
it's very aggressive. I guess with a Lux, Caitlyn starting traps, and even a Nico, there's a lot of invade that's potentially there, but seems like everyone's just going to disengage Soul Strikes. Now, in this situation, let's pivot and talk about what's happened here. What would you want to see from someone like Wilder? He's now the person who has all of the problems he has to deal with starting a jungle solo.
Well, his smite's down, so it's going to be kind of tough for him to like have healthy clear. But like I said earlier, like we need time, and we pretty much bought like 2 minute 30 of the game. So it really depends on how Wilder farms it up, and hopefully he plays it slow, and hopefully the solo laners in our team can facilitate his bit of a behind start.
Yeah, and hopefully replicate that performance from yesterday. Thanks so much, Soul Strikes, and we will catch you later.
All right, see ya.
It's hard to get much of an interview when something like that happens.
Yeah.
Plenty of questions.
Just turn it into a tri-cast, you know, at a certain
Yeah.
point.
Well, Soul Strikes has casted before.
Yeah, cast with him.
Yeah, with
actually.
both of us.
Yeah,
At a
I
certain
think so.
point. Long time ago. He's back from Korea. And of course, the early start that has happened here has been rather wild. And of course, all of you at home had the chance to digest that. But the smite not being available for the Kindred does hurt. Now what you have to do, though, realistically, is look at the summoner spells that are missing, because the junglers will always want to navigate their way towards where summoners are gone from crazy level 1s. And from the side of Direwolves, there's a lot that have been missing through the jungle and the bot lane. And I think that's where Wilder will want to pass. So he starts at blue, may run low on HP, that's possible, but he's got the Scuttle Crab to compensate early, and will probably work his way down towards red and then bot gank. And we'll see how Direwolves choose to navigate this one, because Ray's very different path in his mind.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me right here, right, from Direwolves. Like, can they capitalize at all on this low health Kindred, or is it just going to turn into nothing? Raze is actually heading into the enemy jungle, though, with red buff in hand, so he's looking to track down the Kindred, who's doing okay right now. Actually choosing just to go towards the Krugs.
Yeah, the Tremor Sense came in. Wilder will also see that tunnel just there, so he knows that they're at Krugs, and Sonataric want to collapse.
Yes, this ping's come down. Wilder chasing him away, has the red buff now as well, and Ray's completely caught out. I mean, he saw that on Tremor Sense, and he saw him coming around, and was able to get out of there.
And chose to stay. That is the craziest thing for me. He didn't just go to take the Krugs and spot his opponent, maybe sneak one and get away. He had no vision. He had no ward, so he didn't know how long he had, and was just caught very simply by the tunnel that he used to get over there being spotted. That's just basic League of Legends from the Bombers side with a good, quick collapse.
Yeah, I mean, it was a choice at the end of the day, you know, from Raze in enemy jungle. So, yeah, first bird once again from Bombers. You know, it was very similar story yesterday. Bombers just getting a nice first bird, getting some time, and that's what Soul Strikes was talking about as well. It's like, well, we kind of just have this, you know, 2.5 minutes of the early game, and we're 5 minutes in, and they have the advantage.
And it's not just time that's been bought, it was money back into the Kindred. So not having the smite at level 1 now completely irrelevant. What was relevant was Raze not having the flash. And that is a big part of why he does actually go down there after the fight happens. And suddenly Bombers in the driver's seat. And the scary thing here, if you think back to yesterday's Bombers game, early lead, early kill at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And it felt like their opponents could never recover. Just never. They just completely closed them out.
Mimic as well, getting completely out of control, you know. Literally going for a 1 versus 3.
Yeah.
Picks up 2 kills.
That was
Quick
a
flash
flash.
from Totoro, yeah. I mean, realistically, as soon as you get attacked by the red buff, you just get chased down even if you don't flash, so.
One of the easiest dragons to do as well for a jungler solo is the Mountain Dragon. It hits hard, but when you've got a complete jungle item and even the 2 long swords, you basically regenerate the amount of damage it does between those attacks.
Yeah, very much an easy pickup. There's a good chance that we just kind of see the game die down in terms of action for, you know, a good 5 to 10 minutes now. Like, Direwolves don't really have the onus on them anymore to really go for aggressive plays. That being said, you are, of course, looking towards the duo lane and the bot side, see how oppressive they can be over the Sona Taric. But,
Yeah. Level 6
really
is also a thing to consider here. Get Back actually does get an earlier blue buff, so lots of mid-priority is possible now. That's going to help Direwolves a lot to make some plays. But with Raze just now getting his flash available and a teleport from a level 6 Nico and Biopanther, there is now a window where those plays could happen if they're able to set up vision in the 2v2 bot.
Yeah. Conversely, though, level 6 also means like level 6 for Anivia, which is more wave clearing then, you know? There's a chance that it also stalls out in that capacity.
Yeah, I mean, Nivea is very happy to stall.
With Tyr as well on first back.
Also, it feels like Mimic is all too happy to stall himself, going for the Hex Drinker first. Not going Black Cleaver. So wants to be as defensive as possible in terms of resistance items. Delaying the game, very clearly the game plan from Bombers.
That being said, a Hex Drinker is just such a value pickup right now. Double AP solo lanes, even if you do get into a skirmish with them, it's just like, this is exactly what you want in terms of just combat efficiency, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, you know, teleports from solo laners, fighting in solo laners. Not that Anivia should ever be in a 1-3-1 or a 1-4 setup, but it's possible that she teleports. Having the Unsealed Spellbook is something that we haven't noted Anivia does have, which most mages in mid lane now have as an option pretty constantly. This means that you can trade against any opponents. If you're against an assassin, you can start barrier, you know, and then you can switch to teleport at 6 minutes, as we could see from him before. You could switch to exhaust if your flash is down and they still can't dive you. Just nice to have that added utility there.
You on the bot side. Caitlyn has a healthy lead over the duo lane right here, but I mean, ultimately really just looking for those levels.
8-minute evolve is still very nice against a Caitlyn Lux lane. Put that into consideration. You know, 7 minutes is pretty fast. Anything less than 7, you're just a freak. You're just too good. 8 minutes is pretty good against the lane you should be losing.
Yeah, for sure. That initial kill definitely helping out just in terms of bot side pressure.
We've seen 14-minute evolves from some zoners, and it's honestly just really sad.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it will happen. I mean, this was one of the obviously better games, right? Just because of how the bot lane turned out. Top side, 1 versus 1. Haven't really spoken about them because there's not a whole lot to talk about right now.
Yeah, Nico actually diffuses Aatrox pretty well. Yeah. And as we spoke about with the build from Aatrox, that's all about preventing Nico from getting kills or control. So it is going to be pretty middle ground. They'll just null and void. Deal some damage, receive some damage. No one really cares.
If Mimic was just a little bit closer, he would have been able to chain a couple more auto attacks, but not going to be the case. And that is essentially just the lane, you know? Like, you tried to go in, you get a full combo off, and Nico's just simply ranged and can just walk away from it. So that's all we're really going to see, even with jungles hopping around top side.
In saying that,
into the game.
The wave is pushing towards Mimic, and if he chooses to alpha the lane a little bit more, he could hold it in a good position where junglers could look.
Yep.
But I will say that with red buff up and Wilder off the reset, not looking like he's going to go towards that area at all.
Yeah, definitely in terms of jungle timing. Take a look at the gold as well. There's a slight advantage over to the Aatrox, but ever so slightly, and the game is only 1,000 gold over to Bombers.
Decent mid though. I'll say Roma is someone who's been playing very well this split, has really shown up from week 1, day 1. You know, when you think back to the first split Bombers, they were very good through their 2v2. Their solo laners were fantastic players and still are, but with the lack of FBI in the bottom lane and the style shift that we have noted from the Bombers, Roma is someone who has truly stepped up to the plate, put in some extra work for carrying for his team. We've noticed that, and even now against the Anivia has a pretty good CS lead. It was 600 odd gold when we last checked, and you know, that does still add up to be a pretty big deal for a champion that wants to spike at one item, get the Gunblade, and really start to have presence on the map.
Yeah, it's definitely true. At the same time, though, Anivia is really looking for that nice core, the kind of the Rise core, to be honest. That being said, Get Back, getting called out, or is it Ryoma? Because Race comes in as well, but just a couple of love taps more than anything. Kindred also there. Ult, flash, everything really, ready to go. That'll just straight up defuse. Bottom lane, Brute into Root. Luch is low, but Rogue returning the damage. In minion wave though, so we'll have to back it up. The Root, that's going to be obviously another Root on top of that. Has to burn the stopwatch, and he's very low from this one. Headshot comes through. That's going to be the straight 2 versus 2 kill.
Yeah, Rogue not really knowing when to disengage is what I took away from that. Luch was well out of the fight. Rogue's just walking up, slapping him in the head, yelling gems, and really it's not a fight that he should continue to have. They get the reset of cooldowns, Katsuri and Totoro, and they're able to lock him down, trap after the binding, and no stopwatch is ever going to save you from a Caitlyn trap. It's just inevitable.
A little bit surprising, to be honest. And Raze actually finally gets access into the Krugs, where he's able to take that one completely unmolested. And bottom side, this will be the first tower going down. Not going down.
Not quite.
Literally
Looks like they're respecting Ryoma.
Yeah, I don't know why Rogue would just choose to go in like that, to be honest.
Just trying to be too much of a baller, unfortunately. He's made to pay for it, though. No hesitation from Direwolves. Herald now going to be someone in bot side as well. The reset was visible from Direwolves. Ryoma forced them back. Yep. And now Wilder's here, and this will actually be a big hit on the turret. You can see Get Back moving, however. They're going to try and save it, and I'm sure they'll be able to if Anivia gets in, as Raze is already here.
There's the slam, but flash, knock up, follow up the route as well. The Kindred ult is down, going to buy him a couple seconds as Rogue comes into the bottom side. Managed to get the kill, Luch. And with the Herald constantly hitting up that tower, good trade for Bombers.
And this is another case of the, what could I do if I was Raze in this situation? I could defend the turret. I could stay in the Kindred ultimate now that I've decided to flash knock up and my Anivia's not here yet. But he ults out of it. The heal still comes in anyway, and there's just too much sustain to keep Wilder alive in that bot lane. So just a bit of miscalculations, it felt like, from Raze. But at the end of the day, he made the decision. He wanted to be aggressive. And that's the risk he took.
Yeah, 2 for 2, not really working out for him. Bottom side, still not dead. Crescendo comes across.
The chicken dance. I forgot
that is hilarious. But Wilder is actually here, though, to completely trap this Anivia. Places down the ultimate, and he's straight up trapped, buying some time. That's actually really nice playing of the ultimate. Jumps away, Agnivia, and will, of course, go down. Starts the recall, Wilder picks up the kill.
Yeah, really going for the outplay, it felt like there. And speaking of outplays, good night, sweet Ryoma. Teleport now mid, may get trapped as well.
Yeah, kills across the board. Yeah, this went from cool calculator to just absolute chaos in every single lane. Mimic low. Tagged out there by the Q.
What is happening?
I don't know, Rusty. That's been literally all of these kills this game happening in the last like 90 seconds.
Bob is still in control. That much I know, but their bot lane turret is a stiff breeze from falling. Mid's now got priority as well. We didn't get to see how Ryoma ended up so low. It's the follow-up that makes me very curious. At the end of the day, the turret stays alive, and Bombers put their faces in front of it to ensure that. So mission accomplished.
It's actually surprising to me that we're still 0-0 in towers. With the amount of tower sieges and kills that we've had underneath towers in the last couple minutes. But there you go. And as you said, yeah, pretty much just need to seize those towers and it will go down. How's that gone for the gold, though?
That's a 2-0 Caitlyn even in gold with Sona.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, that is a big deal.
Mid lane also even up.
Yeah. And the fact that the gold is pretty much dead even when you have the 2-0 Caitlyn. This is the kind of thing that, Direwolves may not actually know. You don't often press tab CS60, CS Sona and know how much she's got from Spell Thieves.
Yeah.
But dead even in gold. Those item breakpoints are the place you have to look towards next. We've hit level 6. Top laners haven't really been involved in the action too much, but there is a teleport advantage now for BioPanther.
And you're honestly feeling pretty good if you're Bombers, to be honest. We're 14 minutes into the game, 15 minutes into the game. You've got both dragons so far, and you're even in gold. The amount of aggression we've seen out from Direwolves pretty much all just nullified as this happened.
Yeah.
It's just that one tower now from Direwolves.
And it's always going to feel like a case of how do Bombers engage once we start hitting those team fights. And one of the easiest ways to do that is a flank from Mimic, if possible, of course. Sona having her ultimate, the Crescendo, is a form of engage like Soul Strike's highlighted. But being able to engage with that puts you in proximity of a lot of Direwolves champions that have crowd control to lock you down. So it's not the easiest thing to do, as once again,
full comboed onto Mimic from full right there. And Katsuri, he is literally seconds off his ultimate. There it is, Ace in the hole just comes back up. Meanwhile, big flank coming in from the rest of Bombers. Right underneath the tower, Ryoma going in. Luch will pick up the kill. Crescendo comes across. Top tower being pushed in, but 3 members there to body block the shot.
And there goes the Bombers making the plays. It's the counter, basically, to the offensive of the Direwolves 2v2. And because the whole cohort arrives here of Bombers, the tower falls. Mid will be traded back, however, from Get Back. Bot lane also fell just prior from BioPanther. And so the trades are still happening across the board. And we're still in an even game.
We are, but we saw a glimpse of what Bombers are capable of. You know, like this big flank coming through. This is the way that you can get those engages off of what was potentially an overextend from the Direwolves.
Yeah, the Sonar ultimate isn't even the engage till this time. Rome is able to shove his face in with a very strong spiked champion in the Akali. We're not late game yet, so there's no real risks in going forwards. And 2-0-2 on the Kindred, 2-0-2 on the Sonar. And suddenly the Bombers, all the money in all the right places.
Feeling good, yeah, to be honest. I mean, there could have been a kill onto Mim, but either way, you'd still say that was just a nice outcome for the Bombers in general. That being said, mid tower is down. I don't believe outer turret for Anivia has really been too scratched, though Wilder caught out. Pops the ultimate, of course. Rest of the team is here to follow up, but that is now down.
And pretty much back to full health goes Wilder, because Sonar and his ultimate, and Taric. This is one of the combos when Sonar Taric first came out that you would often see. It's can we fit the Kindred or the Graves even into a team composition? Because you just empower the one person on the team, and it's exactly what they've gone back to.
Ioma. The warding ward. And yeah, looking back towards this mid lane. And really, you just can't touch Anivia's tower unless the Anivia is dead. Like, unless you've forced the Anivia into a fight and killed her, then you can start sieging mid lane. But otherwise, when there's Anivia on the side, you could literally be like 40 minutes into a game, outer turret just not hit.
Which is very relevant when you think back to how the Herald was used by Wilder in the bottom side of the map, right? Now, they've had very good objective control Bombers. This is the first objective, they're not too first. With 2 Mountain Dragons and the Herald summoned, they've been doing well. But the Herald was placed bottom. And if they placed it mid to get a charge off, that at least gets them closer to the turret. They could have done it during the plate timings. What they went for bottom was to immediately break it. Direwolves cancelled their recalls and they held the turret. Yes, they died for it. But I would say right now, that death from Raze was worth it. When you consider that that could have been more pressure in an area that Bombers really can't get to without what would be probably a dive now onto an Anivia.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a frustrating place to be in right now, just because of Anivia's existence. But either way, going back to base, we've got some items being completed. It will be the Hextech Gunblade coming in for the mid lane. 2-0-2 in the jungle, just picking up the Zeal. And bottom lane is getting there, picks up the Sheen.
You know what we haven't really seen a whole lot of when you think back to old Anivias? How do you beat Anivia? Is just take the blue buff. We didn't see the first blue buff contested. And it doesn't seem like they're going to contest anytime soon on those blues. And
yeah, it forces the flash right there. Super Soaker comes through. I mean, you've got a flash, otherwise you just straight up die there. Nice bush sit there from Mimic. He was only there for a couple seconds as well, so just right place, right time.
One of the nice things with itemization choices is that Mimic has them. BioPanther does not. He's locked into his Glacial Augment build, so going for the Spooky Ghosts after having the Super Soaker. They are the official names, do not at me. Magic resistance for the Aatrox means that he can control that to 1v1.
And trying to defend this turret right here, Bombers. Might keep up the siege, to be honest, the Direwolves. Mimic in the bottom side going to get a tower for himself, though. There's a lot of damage against his outer turret right now, and this might be a hard commit from Direwolves.
Maybe.
Four members are still here. Raze is going... Yeah. This is not going to be one Bombers attempting to really defend this one. We'll just space out across the rest of the map.
And you know, I feel like Bombers could have, but it seems like they wanted to get more priority towards mid lane. The Aatroxes moved. The whole team was there clearing vision, so it's not as safe for Direwolves to walk straight through. And any damage on mid is usually worth it, but they can't even get that done in time. So Direwolves, they'll get the turret, effectively trading cross map. We go back to a null state map.
Interesting point you brought up about Anivia, though. You know, it used to be, that was a lot of damage from Sonar, by the way. It used to be that, yeah, you take away the blue buff, you've essentially nullified the Anivia. But I feel like over time, there have been more and more options for the Anivia in terms of itemization to kind of like, you know, go against that. Lost Chapter has become a thing since, you know, Anivia was last saw a lot of play.
Yep.
Also has the Tear right now and the Rod of Ages, so
But with the tier build, naturally taking blue is still something that slows them down with scaling it. And the more that you can prevent Anivia from throwing spells, the more that you can actually, you know, allow time to be bought, where without the blue buff, you'll still run out of mana. And even innately, you know, Lost Chapter is a very strong item in League, but at a certain point, it's not as efficient because it's harder to get levels. So there is still merit to it, but you're right, there are more options that exist.
Oof, that binding wall is binding too, but not going to be the case. Just a bit of an ARAM right now. Not even the MPL. Direwolves, though, looking up towards the river. We see Rogue. Bit of a nonchalant recall right here from Wilder, but
Yeah, we stopped.
we'll be okay.
Good ward, actually, from Bombers, just to the left of the Baron buff. Something that won't get spotted by many control wards. And at this stage of the game, you know, 21 minutes in, Direwolves not really having any intent to do the objective. They're just going to place maybe one on the Baron itself, maybe not two until they commit to it. So that ward will exist, that ward will last. And Bombers have all the information they need to continue to play the cross map and get this Aatrox ramping up.
Yeah, just a bit of housekeeping right now, to be honest. And this is how this game has gone, right? It's been like basically nothing happens for 10, 15 minutes, and then bam, everybody just goes crazy for a couple minutes. You see its objectives fall, and that's it.
Just so hard to like really grasp who outscales in a game. Like, what is the win condition for both of these teams besides the fact that they scale up incredibly well?
Yeah.
I think Soulstrike's highlighting the lack of engage may well be the undoing of the Bombers if we come to those situations where I would say Direwolves want to post up. You know, they want to siege and they want to threaten their opponents from a safer distance than anything else. So that's really what it's about for me, is when we come to the late game, I don't think anyone purely outscales their opponents. It's about execution, about setup and planning, and where the fight's happening is a big deal, you know? Say we have a fight at Baron and Caitlyn's there first to set up the traps, well, it's very advantageous for Direwolves. You know, things like that will always be in consideration.
Just looking towards some of these item builds. We've got the Infinity Age and the Rapid Fire kind of being set up now by Katsuri, as well as the Execution is calling. Something what you brought up earlier, Rusty, talking about, you know, Super Soaker, and I feel like Australia, as the one time I try to talk about this, we've got a flank coming in from Bombers though, moving on to Totoro. Oh, no, completely split up though. Get Back has to flash the wall and Raze. He's left out to dry right now with the rest of his team. He tries to flash away, and that's a great dodge out there. Bombers almost losing two. Mimic and Rogue backing off, and Wilder has already used the ultimate. Ryoma backs them up, and after all of that, 0 kills.
Yeah, a whole lot used at the start of the fight by Bombers. The Akali ultimate, the Taric ultimate, Aatrox was in there, and then Sona doesn't hit the crescendo, so they can't follow through with the kills. And Raze flashes on top of the Kindred ultimate that was placed down, so he's not going to die. No one dies!
Yep, pretty much everything used though. Dragons just spawns, and Baron's also an objective. Ping goes on towards the Baron though, by the Direwolves. They're going to start this one and at very least force the Bombers to come to them.
There's invulnerability, there's eggs, there's shields, there's invisibility.
There's
It's
a lot of
so
ways
hard
to stay
to get
alive.
kills.
Yep. Ryoma
the
over
Baron.
the wall, and they will just hard engage on this one of Direwolves. They instantly shut down the Sona. Mimic gets one in return though, and we've walled them off.
Now this is really tragic for the side of Direwolves. Their jungler dead means they can't do Baron. They've been flanked, but they can see the flank. And so now we're just playing a game of cat and mouse where mid lane turret should just be what the end result is as it gets defended.
Wilder potentially getting chased
Maybe
down,
not
or beyond
dragging.
this potential binding. Flash finds it, full combo. Rest of the team, Katsuri trying to get in range of this one. Another flash comes through, just going to finish him off.
I'm not sure Katsuri wanted to flash. He still had the ultimate, but chooses to use it anyway. Better safe than sorry, and I fully respect that decision. The kill has been locked down. Now 3-0, the AD carry of Direwolves. The new player to the team as well as rookies go. Playing very well this week.
Oh yeah, playing very, very well. Had a great game yesterday, great game today as well, 3-0-0. I mean, you know, that's a flash for a kill and a dragon, you know, at the end of the day, like a dragon 100% confirmed, so. Definitely good trade. Just means we won't have it for next team fight.
Pretty much equalizing objectives. In fact, they are ahead when you look at turrets, and the state of the map still with the mid lane out of there.
Again, though.
Back at it again. Teleports, 2 of them on the top side of Baron. This is going down pretty quick, though.
It's a fast reaction from Bombers, but how quick? Here comes Mimic into bit. He's going to see this one. Looks for the steal. Not going to happen. Get back secures it. Katsuri over the wall. Raze. Looks like they won't be really able to help the Anivia, but it's about trying to secure as many Barons as possible right now. They're going to lose 2.
Totoro pretty much threw himself to the wolves there as the Baron was being contested, and remarkably an Anivia locks that down. But Direwolves get the objective that they start, and now if they can hold mid lane at all, they'd be in such a powerful position. But thankfully for Bombers, they have the ability to trade back a little bit. Bit more control on the map. And with the short amount of time they still have remaining, may continue to try and push, but it's so hard to do.
Yeah, it'll be a little rough. Maybe they can get some chip damage on some of these inner turrets while they have their timers, but that's really it. That being said, you know, the fact that you do get 2 kills, you're able to push all the waves in, will just take more time away from the Baron buff itself. But as you see how the one went down.
You know, one consideration here is that the kills weren't shutdowns, I do not believe. The Anivia now 0 and 2, naturally, and Totoro, I'm not sure if he had one. No, he didn't. And just like that, you know, the 2 kills are secured, but Direwolves have controlled the objective, and that's what a lot of this game has become. It's all about, you know, who has the objectives and how do we get to those areas. Yeah. Direwolves proving that they've got their best foot forward when it comes to the objective control. But Bomber's always looking for the fights, always hunting.
Takes the rest of Direwolves into the mid lane, though. This is the siege engine you were talking about. They want to set up, they want to get behind the minions, have everybody in the right place, ducks in a row. And with Baron buff, that's just perfect for them. So they'll take down the first inner turret. Not really sure if we're going to see inhibitor towers go down, but that being said, like Caitlyn and Nivea, very just aggressive Divan approach. Double cannons just set up here as well, but don't have the full line of traps.
These cannons will take the turret. These cannons will take the turret. There's no range from Bombers. They're all short range, and they're against such good comps to push you back, to keep you at bay. The Caitlyn traps are there, and Luch has to hit a flash sonar ultimate, you'd expect, or they just lose their base slowly.
Triple cannons. I mean, that was actually just way more impactful than I actually thought it was going to be. But yeah, the Direwolves composition just played to perfection. 2 towers inhibitor. And now it looks like they're just going to do the same thing to the bottom side. And that's what they're looking for right now.
And there was no teleport wards. There's no flank wards. And there isn't even a teleport available from Bombers right now. As long as the Baron buff is available at this moment for Direwolves, and they can continue to set up a trap line with Caitlyn and threaten with Anivia, with Lux, and with Nico, they will continue to take turrets.
So at what point do Bombers say enough is enough? They're posturing. Bit of damage on to get back. Ryoma right behind them. See if we can finally assassinate onto one of these squishies. He's going to jump towards Katsuri, but 0 damage so far. But there's the damage. Dropped to below half. Get back. Zoning away right now. Throws up the ultimate. Nico.
But no kills.
Again, on both sides, but still, Direwolves will keep pushing forward. He's got another minion wave here.
Yeah, it's a complete disengage from Direwolves, and they weather the storm. They survive, and now they continue to post up again. This will continue. Something has to give for Bombers, but they've used so much in the last fight. Akali, Aatrox, Taric, no ultimates. Luch had to flash defensively, and he couldn't even be the engage they needed.
I mean, it's exactly that, Rusty, right? They've used so many of their resources. You're looking towards the crescendo, which can still be used as the initiate, but where's your follow-up, you know, from that? So, might just have to sack this turret. That being said, Baron has now expired, so he might be able to claw onto the inhibitor. Maybe. Mimic behind them, Ryoma as well. The inhibitor's just going to straight up die here. Bombers, do they want to now go for the attack? They're going to let it happen.
Like mentioned, their range too short. You can see the differences in drafts right now and how it's really starting to make a significant difference. If you're Bombers, with a composition like this, not having a hard engage source, you have to look at objectives. You know, the Baron that was taken by Direwolves was the moment this game blew open. Even though the gold is still in favor of Bombers, it doesn't feel like they have any semblance of control whatsoever. And that's a big reason why. If you're Bombers and you want to win this game, you meet them at Dragon, you meet them at Baron buff, and you take the fights that give the objectives. You don't just take the objectives. You want to give Direwolves a reason to come to you. Or you want to defend your base when Direwolves do come to you. But the Direwolves composition doesn't even allow that.
Completely denied so many times. And yeah, Gold Advantage is just one of the few times where you look at it and it's like it means absolutely nothing. You know? And that was, to be fair, what? 2 towers in the mid lane, an inhibitor. 1 tower in the bottom lane, inhibitor. And they're still behind in terms of gold. Direwolves.
Yeah,
you know,
4 towers.
If you think about the swing that they just had, including the Baron buff in terms of gold injection, Bombers had so much of a lead that's essentially just dried up now. Top lane will be another tower falling. And it just feels like Bombers are being strangled out of this game now. Darklex Binding almost connecting.
And it's about calm, measured play here from Direwolves. You know full well the Bombers want to try and flank. They're clearing the vision. They're forcing their way into their own blue side jungle, and it's working. With Baron up in 35 seconds, Direwolves cannot afford to make a mistake. If they give any opening to their opponents, Bombers are a good enough team to take it for certain and be able to bring this game back into their control. I already spoke about the gold. They still have plenty. Deathcap for Sona's a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. That is
rough.
not the timing. 15 seconds till Baron. Luch just whiffs the ultimate, and they lose the base for it.
Yeah, but lose the tower. Bombers, though, do manage to actually find Raze on the backside, so they miss the crescendo, still get the kill.
Wilder.
Right behind him, he's taking so much damage, though. There's the ultimate. Lamster Spike comes through. Mimic rooted before he can get inside that one, and Wilder gets blown up by Biopanther. Mimic zoning away from this one. Going into Blood Pool. Rogue separated from the team, but Luch is there. They managed shields and healing right now, and they've managed to keep the Direwolves right in the middle of this trap. Ryoma in the back lines, dodging out of this one. He's rooted. Gatsuri canning away. Ryoma, he just needs to get a bit more damage onto one of these squishies. He can't quite do it.
But their base is being ruined as well, Pulse. One of these Nexus turrets has fallen. Supers are crashing. That was the window Bombers had, and Wilder just forces it with his face. But look at the response. Direwolves, the fact they survive, gives them the lead still and gives them control of the map. They can just go to Baron, and Bombers stuck defending.
It was such an awkward fight, you know. It was like the kill that shouldn't have happened, then Bombers getting behind him and kind of flirting with a fight, keeping them in place, and Direwolves simultaneously kind of keeping them at bay despite being surrounded while the minions did the work. Ryoma jumps the wall, but he's trapped in place. Direwolves, they have the Baron, and he may just get the Akali on top of this one as well.
No opportunity to fight for the objective once again, Bombers. Biopanther gets absolutely ruined by Wilder's damage. He's got 3 complete items working on his crit build. So he's a big deal. And at any moment, if Wilder is left unattended, he can win a team fight. Compliments of course, a Sona and a Taric keeping him in there. So as long as those 3 stay alive and well, the game is alive for Bombers. But Direwolves with the Baron buff, inhibs respawning, you would expect we see the same thing as the last Baron. They just step up and say, come at us, and defend the flanks.
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest, it just feels like a game of rock, paper, scissors, and it's just scissors and paper right now. You know, for Bombers, like that, they have a composition that works and it can work, but they've just not been allowed to use it in the way that they want to. I mean, the possibility is there right now. Just wishing they could go against a different opponent, different team. They could just swap out of this game, jump into another one.
I would say the Direwolves have the Glacial build.
Yeah, yeah.
Picked up there in Nivea. I've got the Glacial Augment Nico. The more I think about it,
the more true it is.
Sense.
Yeah.
And at this point, the reason I said it is because it's toxic. There's no counterplay. You just sit there and you deal with it while you're stunned.
Yeah, one might say a little overtuned. Yeah, that is too true, isn't it? Yeah. The more I look at it. Bombers up to the side, potentially looking for an engage.
Oh, they're on!
They have to go for this one. Mimic and Wilder on the front lines. Razor's low, but he flashes away.
They didn't get
That's
a kill.
Huge amount of damage coming in from the Nico ultimate, but still no deaths, but that is Lamstra's Bite being used. So while no one's dead on this one, you know the next fight is going to be fatal.
But that was the play from Bombers. They hit the crescendo. If ever there was a moment they needed to wipe their opponents, it was then. Because now Direwolves, they're just looking to end. They have inhibs as options, but they're looking at the Nexus turrets.
They have the minion with Biopanther, takes a lot of damage. So Ryoma comes in, but gets blown up. Biopanther still alive and kicking. Luch flashed away, but that's the double coming in from Katsuri. Looking towards the last Nexus turret. In comes Mimic. Nice return kill from Wilder. But the rest of the team is dead right now, and that's a triple coming in for the Caitlyn. Wilder zoning away, but that's the Quadra. Looking for the Penta. Where is it? There it is! Pentakill for Katsuri!
And Direwolves will end the game against Bombers 34 minutes in with a massive Caitlyn performance coming out of the rookie. Big showing from them, and patience was the key. And they had all of the patience they could possibly need to win that game. What a big turnaround from yesterday.
Big turnarounds. You could not really ask more from the rookie of Katsuri in this one. Great game on Friday, and a pentakill today. So, crushing it.
Absolutely. I mean, Katsuri, very impressive performance from him and Totoro. I don't think it is a one-man affair, of course. When you think to what has improved for Direwolves, their laning phase has gotten so much better. And, you know, a big part of the laning phase improvements has been both of them, of course, being better. Katsuri, it seems like it may just be comfort, getting used to his role and how quickly that has started to improve from him. Very evident through that game. But what I like the most from Direwolves is they came in with a game plan. They picked the Anivia last for the game plan, and they just hit it. They just constantly play to it. At the end of the day, you compare the compositions, and at a certain point, Bombers were just desperate, and they have to force their comp to make it work, whereas Direwolves just sit back and let them come to them.
And it did feel like a comp thing, in the end. Get in the right order. Rough game coming in from the Bombers, and you heard it from Zoldrax, like the Anivia was definitely a curveball that was unexpected, and ended up doing very well, like when you see a pick like this come across, it's just a wild card for everybody involved, we don't know necessarily what's going to happen, but held the outer turret, didn't really feel any pressure for the entire game and just did Anivia things.
This league is so confusing, man. Friday was like Bombers smash people, Direwolves look shaky. Come in today, the first game, and Direwolves beat Bombers. I don't know anymore, man. I don't understand. It's great,
We've got 3 more games today, but for now, we're going to head back over to the couch.
I don't understand either. No one was expecting this. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you guys understand?
I think towards like the end of the game, because you mentioned like the big thing we were just talking about was the Nico in terms of like holistically this comp for the Direwolves, like you play it very negatively like as you get later on into the game. Anivia, we were saying like one of the slowest champions in League of Legends that still does get played, and the Nico was the most interesting point for me because yes, Biopanther kind of did nothing for 20 minutes, right? And then she is like big power pick at the moment, and you kind of look at her like she has a very oppressive laning phase, but then also she is the best like disengage tool to pair with like an Anivia in these late game fights, and Dials have just got to a point where they ran away with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is like one of those old school like trap cards that have been implemented by the Direwolves really successfully. And what I mean by that is Sona Taric finally left up, a team bites on it. This is the reason that people, when Sona Taric is left up, because it is a very strong duo still, and like Sona Tam Kench exists, Sona Galio, there's lots of different ways you can play it. Like when you leave it up deliberately, I'm sure every team has like one thing they want to play into it. And Direwolves always obviously wanted to play this fast push comp, right? And the scary thing is that the fast push didn't happen. And the game was still impossible for the Bombers to win. So just a very good established draft here from Curtis, I think.
Yeah, because once you got towards the end of that game, it did look very like cement in this is how it's going to be played. But early was whack. Like, that was a Direwolves invade that goes horribly wrong, I guess, somehow. Wilder has to smite to live and then literally can't clear his jungle camps. He starts red buff like, nah, not about that one. Starts Raptors and he's like, oh, absolutely not, and goes up topside. But then, you know what I mean? Like, Raze did die early, kind of give that lead back a bit. And yes, they didn't push with their Caitlyn Lux as hard as they probably could. I will say, like, the most consistent performances in the last couple of games, I think, have definitely been Katsuri and Totoro. This is Katsuri coming in, like, to speak about him specifically. First game, I think it was the OPL, if not first week, quadra kill of the back of their victory there, and now getting a penta in. Like, this is a rookie who came out of kind of nowhere, and now with an import support, like, they actually look pretty good together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, this is one of those lanes that you do get to play for free, but certainly able to play the late game team fights against Mimic on, one of the strongest top laners in Aatrox at the moment, and being able to live through all that. And I think that Bombers kind of missed, so we talked a lot about like what Direwolves did promisingly. Bombers kind of missed their window because they used double TP and weren't able to get that Baron, which was a little bit strange call for like the hard contest. Because in my opinion, as long as the Aatrox and Akali had teleport and could get behind, you can just like Taric ulti like one of them on the way in and look for the engage, and then it's very hard to kill Kindred, Taric, Sona in the time that Aatrox and Akali are just going to be able to rip apart their backline. But when you lose the teleports, you lose any form of engage against this team. Because even if they double go over, you just wall everyone off. Then they're able to like kind of use the Nico ultimate, layer the CC very nicely, and be able to navigate the team fight. So I feel like the Bombers kind of missed their window with that double TP. And then twice after that, used one teleport and not the other. And then one teleport and not the other. And they were kind of staggered cooldown. So I think that there was one way Direwolves won a late game team fight, and that was both Ryoma and Mimic getting onto Katsuri, getting onto Get Back, and like blowing them up. And they weren't able to do that.
And it wasn't even just the TPs though, right? It was like Lutz just blowing Sona ulti on a Rek'Sai that doesn't hit, and you need really everything to be layered on top of each other. I will say Wilder is just popping off on like Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon, Kindred, and they did get the kill anyway, but it did kind of look like Bombers a little bit out of sync there. And yeah, Direwolves upset victory, but looked good.
I love an underdog so much. I get so excited by these storylines. Direwolves, one of the most interesting teams.
Well,
in
they're
the OPL
3-3
to
now,
be
aren't
watching.
they? Surely not an underdog.
I guess, but it's like
Bombers
in my
are
head, they're
3-3?
still an underdog.
Yeah.
Are Bombers 3-3 now as well?
I don't know. I don't have my sheet on me. I
I'm
printed
pretty
it
sure
out, but I left
Bombers,
it upstairs.
because Bombers have lost now to Mammoth, Direwolves,
Yep.
Order.
Can
So they're
you-
3-3 as well.
Can you be an underdog if you were top dog, like at the end of the last split?
Well, both of these teams changed
underdogs
two
coming
people.
from the bottom. I feel
Are you
like
talking
it's
about
not-
Direwolves or Bombers?
Well, if we're saying that Bombers and Direwolves are sort of 3-3 each, then
Yeah.
you go like, then to
Well,
me,
yeah.
Direwolves still have the underdog status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they kind of, I mean, in terms of this split though, Direwolves was like at the very bottom and they've like moved their roster
Yeah.
up on paper, and then Bombers like did the opposite, I think,
Yeah.
a little bit, right? Like they lost FBI, they lost Balkan.
Yeah, see, that's kind of where I come from. I
Yeah.
treat League of Legends like basketball all the time, and I think like the Bombers were the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
But you take Steph Curry and Kevin Durant off them and give them like,
what do you
I don't
have?
know, like, and then what do you got for Golden State Warriors?
Yeah.
You got, Draymond Green running around trash talking still. Like, and that's the kind of thing that I've always said about the Bombers. Like, it's going to take time for them to integrate their new pieces. So
Yeah.
I think great win for Direwolves. And then kind of Direwolves are the Lakers, right? They came last, they tanked, but now they got LeBron and they got someone else, and then, maybe they're all right.
This is why I like Direwolves so much. We'll be back after this quick commercial break.
Just there, so he knows that they're at Krugs, and Sonataric want to collapse.
Yes, this ping's come down while they're chasing them away. Has the red buff now as well, and Ray's completely caught out. I mean, he saw the Bombers, but how quick? Here comes Mimic into pit. He's going to see this one. Looks for the steal. Not going to happen. Get back, secures it. Katsuri over the wall. Rays. Looks like he won't be really able to help the Anivia, but it's about trying to secure as many. Wilder right behind him. He's taking so much damage though. That's the double coming in from Katsuri. Looking towards the last Nexus turret. In comes Mimic. Nice return kill from Wilder. But the rest of the team is dead right now, and that's a triple coming in for the Caitlyn. Wilder zoning away, but that's the Quadra. Looking for the Penta. Where is it? There it is! Pentakill for Katsuri.
And Direwolves will end the game against Bombers 34 minutes in with a massive Caitlyn performance.
At Macca's, our burgers are now hotter, juicier, and tastier, with onions added at the grill for more flavour, perfectly melted cheese, and softer buns. They're the best Macca's burgers ever.
Welcome back. We forgot to mention at the top of the show, the MPL is happening.